Hey, this is for anyone looking for some basketball content going over the fundamentals of the game. You can check out my Udemy page as I have some online basketball courses going over basketball for beginners, dribbling, shooting, post moves, and triple threat moves. So you can get these courses for an affordable price. The link is in the description below, and if you're interested, look to enroll today. What is up, everyone? Koballa here with another video, and today we're gonna do a breakdown of the Western Conference Finals between the Nuggets and the Lakers. Yes, I said it, the Nuggets and the Lakers. First off, I just want to say, wow, what a semi-finals series in the Western Conference between the Clippers and the Nuggets. I think many of the NBA fans expected and anticipated that LA matchup between the Clippers and the Lakers, and the Nuggets just stormed in and just crashed the party and said, nope, it is us that's gonna take what they want and have a closer chance to that title. So congrats to the Nuggets for advancing to the Western Conference Finals, but their task of getting the title is not done yet, as they do have to face probably the favorites at this point of the playoffs, the LA Lakers. So without a further ado, let's continue on, and I do want to do this breakdown without video. Last time I did do a breakdown of one of the games between the Heat and the Celtics in the bubble, but this time around I just want to do just the explanation with the stats and my overall thoughts without going over a previous game that they have played. So it'll be a shorter video, but I want to try to mix it up and just give my thoughts and my analysis on this matchup. So let's get started. If you look at both these teams to their path to the conference finals, it has been quite different. You look at the Nuggets, both series to be down 3-1 and to come back and win at Game 7, winning 3 games in a row in both series has been impressive, and it's not common at all. I mean, just to come back from 3-1 in the playoffs is just rare in itself in the NBA, but to do that back-to-back series is quite incredible and shows a lot about their character of the team and the players and how resilient the group is. So it's pretty interesting to even see that just once in the playoffs, but to see that back-to-back, pretty incredible on the Nuggets part. And for the Lakers, it has been kind of the opposite. I mean, both series, they lost the first game, but they just rolled through the rest of the way, winning 4 games after their Game 1 losses. So Lakers do have had the easier road to the Western Conference Finals and kind of breeze through a bit, while as the Nuggets had to go through a lot of adversity and play more competitive games. So first off, to just mention that the contrast between those two teams is pretty interesting. If you just look at their team play and how kind of their identity, if you look at the Lakers, they're probably one of the best defensive teams entering the playoffs, and if you look at the total points here, 105 allowed opponents, and the other two best defensive teams are playing in the other conference. So in the West, they have allowed the least in the playoffs. So defensively, they've just been on point, and this whole season, that's just been their identity, just based on defense. And if you look at their players, I mean, they have a lot of athletic guys. They have very good defensive players. AD got, I believe, was first team all defensive NBA, which is quite an accomplishment. You obviously have Danny Green in the perimeter. along with the bigs in the center's position with McGee and Dwight. So very good defensively, individually, and as a whole. Nuggets, on the other hand, defensively, they're not the best. They have only allowed 103 in the playoffs, but they do, in the games that they have lost, they did have defensive lapses. And yeah, they've shown that when they do have these defensive lapses, it costs them games. So they can be a great defensive team, but if they want to, if they show it. But Lakers have been shown to be the consistent defensive team, and that's something that they've shown the whole year. So pretty interesting in that regard. If you look at their offense, Lakers have scored a lot of points. Offensively, they are also good as well. They share the ball. They're not the greatest shooting team, but they have guys that can make plays, especially with LeBron. And now that you have Rondo in the mix, guys that could just facilitate, make plays for others, just make good decisions. You have AD that could score the ball in the post and in the perimeter, and you also have some shooters that surround LeBron. So let's look at the 3-point shooting range. They're not the greatest shooting team, that being the Lakers. They do have some shooters, and in the playoffs, I mean, hard to say. They haven't been. They're not the best, but I don't know how to say. I don't know if they're really terrible, because they do have some good shooters. They do have Green, and when Rondo entered the playoffs, he's actually been shooting about 40%. But we'll go into that when we go into the individual stats. But the Nuggets have been on absolute fire. They are the best remaining team, second on the list of the teams that have played in the playoffs at 39%, and Jokic and Murray have been just lights out from the 3-point line. So offensively, Nuggets do bring kind of that explosiveness to their dynamic duo with Jokic and Murray. So interesting to see these teams collide and see how they match up. But let's look at the individuals for the Nuggets and look at their stats. Obviously, clearly, you look at the Nuggets and they have probably one of the best 1-2 punches right now. It's interesting because you also have LeBron and AD, great 1-2 punch, and then you also have Murray and Jokic. So if you kind of look at this matchup between the two teams, it's the battle of the duos, pretty much. And if you look at the Nuggets side, Murray and Jokic have just been hot, especially in the games that they have won. I mean, you have Murray just scoring 40s and having 50-point games. I mean, it's ridiculous. And if you look at their stats here, I mean, the playoffs, Murray overall has been shooting 50%, 49% from the 3, 90%. So 50, 40, 90 stats as a shooter. That's ridiculous. And only 2 turnovers, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 27 points. Incredible stats. Just completely stepping up, being the main guy of the team. Him and Jokic. Jokic, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. He as well shooting 44% and from 3 and 52% from overall. You also do have the addition of Gary Harris, who's a great role player, great energy, great defender. That came off an injury, so he's been playing well in the playoffs, been a good piece. You have, in the wing, Michael Porter Jr., Grant being that lengthy, athletic defender, kind of like that third option. It seems like Porter might be more of a third option, but then again, anybody that gets hot after Murray or Jokic will kind of be that third option. Yeah, and yeah, I think as a whole, offensively, they could just get really hot, especially from the 3-point line. So you go off the duo, those two guys, and you have a great supporting cast, a veteran in Paul Millsap who's been through it all, who has a lot of playoff experience, looking to get that win. You have Torrey Craig, Monte Morris coming off the bench, Mason Plumlee, Michael Porter. So a lot of good players, good rotation going on there, like an 8-9 man rotation going on for the Nuggets. So a lot of solid players, offensively explosive, and has. If you look at this team, they're a really tall team. They're a really big team, and a lot of length, a lot of playmaking ability from the two guys. So, great team. They've proven that they're one of the top teams. Murray and Jokic also have been showing that they are superstars in the league, and there's no better time than to show it in the playoffs. So let's look at the Lakers. If we look at the Lakers here, I mean, yes, obviously you have AD, all first team defense with LeBron, MVP caliber, both guys playing at an MVP level. Even a 35-year-old LeBron is just still top notch, still got it. Both shooting over 55%, AD 59%. Double digits in rebounds, averaging about 27 points for both guys. LeBron almost averaging a triple-double, as he usually does. Their free throws aren't as good, in the 75% range, 73. So again, they have their dynamic duo from those two, probably one of the best in NBA, but Murray and Jokic beg to differ. And they also have a pretty deep team. They have a good supporting cast as well. If you look at the starting lineup, obviously they're going to start with Green, the perimeter defender, the spot-up shooter, shooting at 38%, not bad. In the playoffs, Caldwell Pope has been shooting actually really well at 41. And they'll probably start the game with McGee, but it might look like Morris might start from now on, but we'll see depending on the matchups. It seems like McGee would be better off starting, going against Jokic, but we'll see, because Morris might be a little bit shorter to guard Jokic. But it'll be interesting to see how they want to guard Jokic defensively. You have Rondo, Kuzma, Caruso, or Morris and Howard coming off the bench, so the Lakers are a very deep team. They'll probably be going like 10 deep against the Nuggets. So a very good rotation, a lot of depth. The addition of Rondo coming into Houston series has been really interesting. He's been playing extremely well. We know that when it comes to the playoffs, Rondo really steps it up, and he's been shooting over 50%, 44% from three. So that's an interesting factor, because will the Nuggets look to leave him open? Houston did, and actually Rondo made him pay, shooting 44%, and that's actually the best in the team. Because we look at Rondo and we don't see him as the spot-up shooter that he is, but he's been taking them and has not been afraid of taking them. Also, that 7 assists with the 5 rebounds, so also kind of being that floor general alongside with LeBron. And you also have Kuzma kind of being that third option in terms of scoring, coming off the bench, defending, rebounding, and as we said, scoring the ball. So you have Rondo and Kuzma averaging around 11 points, and everybody else are, they're gonna defend. Caruso's also a very good role player who brings energy, defending, just a good piece to put in among the other guys, and LeBron and AD. So if you look at both teams, it just brings a very interesting matchup. Lakers do have the height as well and the athleticism, along with the Nuggets, so they do match up there. You do have Rondo, who is a smaller guard, who will probably get a lot of minutes. Maybe they'll look to exploit that matchup with Rondo being the smaller guard with Murray, because it'll be interesting who they put Murray on. I would think probably Danny Green, considering that he's probably the best perimeter defender of the Lakers. Obviously, it'll be a collective effort from the Lakers, and it'll be interesting how they also guard Caruso. Will they have AD, or not Caruso? I'm sorry, on Jokic. So will AD probably guard Jokic? It's possible. We'll see him guarding him probably most of the time, or it could be Morris, or one of the centers, McGee or Howard. But we'll see. We'll see how the Lakers look to defend that. Look to defend Jokic. And yeah, if you look at Murray and Jokic, and the offense definitely runs through them. A lot of pick and roll action. When you do see Jokic get the ball off like a pick and roll, he does make really intelligent plays, facilitating or being aggressive and taking to the hole, and he does a really good job picking and choosing and picking apart the opposing's defense, especially with what he did in Game 7 and against the Clippers, just coming off that pick and roll and just making good passes, making good plays. It's that's something that the Lakers will have to deal with. And obviously you have the scoring ability from Murray, and then he could take it to the hole, he could shoot, spot up, or shoot off the dribble, create his own shot. So they have to worry about those two. Obviously, they have to worry about their shooting, and if they do double or put too much focus on them, they'll make the right plays and get the others open for the Nuggets. And the Nuggets have shown when they do win, when they get hot, they'll make their shots and they'll win the game through that. When you look at the Lakers offensively, obviously their offense is also going to run through two guys, LeBron and AD. But having Rondo in the mix makes it very interesting, because usually you'd have LeBron having the ball a lot and him being the floor general, but he could play off ball a lot more, as you see in the Houston series, because Rondo is the one that is actually in a lot of possessions being the floor general, commanding people on the floor, making sure they're in the right spots, running a two-man game with AD or with another big, and just the offense is running through him as well. So it takes a lot of pressure off LeBron, and LeBron can just save a lot of energy doing that. He doesn't have to exert a lot of energy on offense when he doesn't have to have the ball a lot and have to be the floor general. He could just take a step back and kind of let Rondo do most of that, and LeBron could just play off ball or catch and shoot. So not a lot of pressure and not a lot of energy spent on LeBron, kind of allowing Rondo to run some offensive possessions. So I think that's a huge key in this game for the Lakers offensively, because Rondo does take a lot of pressure off of LeBron, and if he's playing the way that he is right now offensively, they're going to be a lot of trouble for the Nuggets, especially with the fact that Nuggets aren't always as consistent on defensively. But and on top of that, they do have some shooters around them. They're not the greatest shooters. They're not the greatest shooting team, but the Lakers do defend on their defense, and defensively they are one of the best in the NBA. So going against such a great defensive team with the Lakers going versus the offensive exploding Nuggets with their duo and the others, it makes for an interesting matchup and a very competitive one. I don't expect the Lakers to just run through the Nuggets. That, in fact, will actually surprise me. In fact, I would even be surprised if the Lakers go up 3-1 and then all of a sudden the Nuggets come storming back and taking it to a game 7. The Nuggets have definitely shown resiliency. They are not willing to back down, and it seems to me like they play better with their backs against the walls. So you look at the Lakers and they kind of coasted through the playoffs, and they had a lot of time off to just rest their bodies, and them being the older, more veteran team, I think it's advantageous to them. So when they come to this next game, game 1, they're going to be fully rested and ready to go. But the trend, as we see from these two teams from past playoff series, is that Lakers do lose game 1. Nuggets fall down 3-1. They come back. The Lakers storm back after that game 1 deficit. So it'll be interesting to see how obviously one of those trends is gonna break, or even both. We'll see how this plays out. I do see it going to game 6 or game 7. I think they are pretty evenly matched. And again, it just calls for a great series, especially with Denver just when their backs against the wall, when they're about to be eliminated, they're just not going away. And if the Lakers do advance, it'll be interesting how they were to close it. It'll be interesting to see how they would be able to close it off against a Nuggets team that just keeps fighting and fighting and plays even better when they're about to be eliminated. So yeah, I do see it going to games 6 and 7. I don't see it anything less. This is great basketball. Both teams are pretty much healthy and ready to go. So I'm excited for this series. Obviously, it's not what, again, as I mentioned, it's not what we anticipated, but Nuggets have proven that they are a elite team. They're a contender trying to get that championship. So with that momentum going forward, it'll be interesting to see how the Lakers handle that. But yes, that is the rest of that breakdown. Again, I am looking forward to this series. I'm gonna watch all the games, and I just expect it to be fireworks, man, and nothing less. So thank you for watching this video. If you have liked it, please drop that like, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, smash that subscribe button to see more content like this. Next video could be the matchup between the NBA Finals, whoever makes it out of these conferences. But we'll see. Might put out more content before that. But if not, just stay tuned, and hopefully I'll make just a lot of great content just like this one. So thank you once again. Until next time.